Students who attended private schools, what are your horror stories? It took 4 years of law school to find out the top secret my school has been hiding for years. The future lawyers of tomorrow aren't the geniuses my school wants you to think they are. I've had to break my back studying for every single exam, but I've never even come close to being in the top 10. I've spent hours studying just to get a B, while the top 10 didn't even go to the library and somehow still wound up with perfect GPAs. I would be slaving away in my dorm trying to get a perfect 100 on every exam just to taste a sliver of what they regularly get. Meanwhile, they would be partying at frats on the weekends or skipping their classes on the weekdays. I had no idea how they had made it so far. I feel like I do more than them and I'm not rewarded with half of what they get. At first I thought they were paying the teachers off with daddy's money, but I've met the parents of the elite at one of our events and they're incredibly strict. They don't play about grades and actually want their kids to succeed on their own merits. I didn't have that same discipline, but I had done really well in the first 3 years of law school regardless of that. However, my senior year was kicking me in the butt. I had tried to follow my previous study methods and personalized schedule, but I took on way more than I could handle in my final year. I thought I was going to be fine and I was up for the challenge because I wanted to make sure I was going to get into a master's program. But this was my worst mistake. I figured out way too early that I couldn't do it all. At the start of the semester, I could have never guessed things would get so bad that my GPA would fall down to a pitiful 2.5. All the other students seemed so confident, so focused, yet nonchalant. Meanwhile, I was drowning in my overwhelming new workload. Before I had time to catch my breath, I was damn near failing all my classes, and it was taking a toll on not only my mental health but my health too. I was doing everything I could to try and pull my pathetic grades up. All-nighters back to back, Red Bulls to keep me alert in class, studying in the library for 8 hours straight. I had never worked harder, yet my grades had never been lower. I started to lose hope completely. The more I tried to catch up, the further I fell behind. For every single test I took, I was the last person left by the end of the class. It was humiliating. It broke my spirit a little more each time I found myself sitting there all alone, watching the professor sigh and check their watch. I had gray, drooping bags under my eyes, and my appetite was suffering. So I started thinning out. I had never looked or felt worse in my life, but what could I do? Give it all up now? It wasn't an option. But this degree was going to kill me if I didn't manage to break into whatever superhuman mindset these other students around me seemed to have. Everything came crumbling down one afternoon after I got my third D in one of my most challenging classes. That grade was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I just came apart when I saw that I had failed yet another huge test. I walked out of the library, slumped down onto a bench outside, and started crying. All the pain and stress I had been carrying since the semester started just poured out of me. I couldn't carry it anymore. And then, I was approached by an angel. I'm not a religious man to any degree, but I will always see that random stranger as my one guardian angel since she changed my life so severely. I was sobbing with my face in my hands, ignorant to anyone watching a grown man cry, when I heard a soft, "You okay?" I opened my eyes to see a gorgeous girl looking at me with concern. I wiped my eyes, snorted and mumbled out an unconvincing "I'm fine." That's when she sat down right next to me and said, "It's your grades, isn't it? When someone's crying around here, that's usually it." She got a chuckle out of me with that and then said she was going to let me in on the little secret that was going on around here. That's when she asked for my laptop, and I gave it to her. Dumbly, I watched her open Chrome and search Study Buddy before returning it to me. She told me the extension was the only reason the other students had straight A's since it gave them immediate answers to their assignments, and the top 10 abused it relentlessly. After she walked away, I took a better look at the extension and its features. I went home that night and thought about using the extension. I had been apprehensive at first since I was putting everything on the line if I got caught cheating, but I knew that if I didn't do this I would be kicked out and would never get into my master's. After using it to complete my homework that first night, by the time I was done, I could have picked my jaw up off the floor over how shocked I was at the difference it made. My nightly homework routine consisted of tears and typing, spanning about 4 to 5 hours every night, more if I had a project due that week. But that night, I ran all my assignments through Study Buddy and was done in an hour. It was a total miracle to me. I remember getting the best sleep I've had in months because I finished my homework so early into the night. I had completely forgotten about how refreshing it felt to get a full 8 hours of sleep. The following week was as different as night and day compared to the stressful start of the semester. I used Study Buddy for all my homework and projects, and it gave me hours of free time and stress relief that I hadn't experienced since starting the semester. All my worrying and all mental pain just vanished because of one mysterious girl's advice. In a week's time, I had brought up every single one of my grades from near failing to a perfect A. I stopped dreading test days since I could just have Study Buddy take them for me, and all I had to do was show up to class. Everyone's laid-back attitude started to make sense to me. This was the mystery that was going on at my school, and I had finally been let in on it. Since I could use Study Buddy for all of my busy work, I started directing most of my focus toward my most challenging classes. Without all the time and energy cleared up for me by Study Buddy, I surely would have miserably failed my most challenging classes within the first half of the semester. After chatting with some other students, I learned this was how most of them chose to study. Being able to dismiss nightly homework deadlines or any menial quizzes with one easy click saved me loads of stress and time. After all my school stress was lifted off me with one excellent recommendation, I started to use my free time to improve myself. At my worst, I didn't realize that fixing my grades would end up fixing me as a person. After my grades stabilized, I started to feel like myself again. And I thought about how much that random girl had utterly changed my life for the better. I started going to the gym and had more time to make friends around campus. I gained all the weight I had lost back, plus some extra muscle, and noticed girls checking me out more often. My self-esteem shot up with my grades, and soon enough I became part of a great friend group. It meant the world to have friends that understood all my academic struggles, and we were constantly sharing study hacks. As I branched out socially, I learned that nearly the entire student body all had their own form of AI cheating software. I was just lucky enough to find one that worked with Canvas, and just in time before I had tanked my grades any further. By the end of the year, my GPA was a gleaming 3.7, and I was overjoyed but not surprised when I got into my top choice for my master's. I remember scanning the crowd at my graduation, trying to find the girl who had basically solidified my successful future. All because she took the time to introduce me to Study Buddy. I never saw her again, but I hope to run into her again one day, by some miracle, so I can finally thank her for the overwhelming impact her small act of kindness had on my life.